Welcome in. It's season 2, episode 2 of XP for Heal. And I'm your host, SelphyClark. We've passed through a very particular February and January of this year, and even just in general, my own life, education, and getting severely sick made some hiccups in what I had planned for my day-to-day life. Of course, we'll go a bit into the podcast and yapping and see where it takes us today. So, hello. What stat negative did I get? Pretty much. I got majorly throat sick, where it was just hard to breathe and eat and sleep and exist. And weirdly enough, at the end of me being sick, all of these body aches, body pains, body sadnesses, things that had been kind of long already passed with my mind and my brain, and yet they had come to the surface from my body healing and spewing, essentially. It's just pretty much the body keeps score, the body remembers, memory foam kind of deal. And it was a strange experience to have that, because being bedridden, you have to then work on it. Can't really go anywhere. It is almost like sweat, like oozing out of your pores. So it was the time to address it and figure out why it was still in me, why it was coming up now, the feelings, and to even just let the feelings happen. I mean, had to have some not happy feelings come to play, and mindsets and past experiences. It's all dreary, to put it best. A lot of tears, but in the end, it was actually a very good thing I got sick at this time, to not only address this, but even to realize what was building up, what was cast aside, what wasn't taken care of in the best fashion. Like a corrupt save file, where rather than doing the proper steps of the autosave, or don't shut off the game while a save is occurring, or doing something weird while it's saving, like hitting different buttons and whatnot. That's kind of the experience in reopening that file, not intentionally, but in my weakened state, I clicked on it in a way, and I journeyed into some of my disappointments, some of my delulu, and even what I really still was craving for, and what I currently need to address. Just kind of throwing that out there first and foremost, since that is at the top of my mind, because especially I didn't have to drive for a week. A whole week. I did not have to sit in my vehicle. I did not have to plan when I would leave the house to make it to my destination, I did not have to worry about gas. I did not have to worry about checking my lanes, blinkers, everything that encompasses going in the metal death trap. And I had to realize a part of having my body have all these emotions come up, but even my body got to relax. That's the other thing. Even though it was 95% of feeling like death, there was the bliss mixed into that as well, and even lingered afterwards. It's very weird. It's bizarre how much taking, technically small factors out of your life, but kind of pinnacle, foundational points as well, weirdly. Because out of everything that I do in the day, driving is a small portion of it, but it's important because it gets me to my destination to do my activities. Like, if I took a train, I would have a very different feeling about transportation. And I have to realize, I've just learned to hate it. That I have just put so much energy towards being angry and hating driving. And clearly, with already being stressed, already being scared of it, already having constant worry from it, it accumulates. And it does make the start and end of my day terrible. Even if I'm not consciously doing that I find distractions like playing music, play a podcast, turn on the fan or whatnot, or make it comfy, make it smell good. It's still a place that does not bring me peace, it does not bring me joy, it does not bring me anything but anxiety, even though I continue to do this. And the reality is, it's something I could address in a fashion, but it would require a whole entire change to my schedule that I feel would put me right back in the same level of distress and hate if I were to eliminate the car altogether. Yeah, it would be great to not have to rely upon it, but do I live in an area, a time zone, a school that accommodates that? No, not whatsoever. Of course, I do dream about that for if I go to a PhD program. That would definitely turn my day around. Yeah, that's one of those things that came up with alongside being sick. That realization, that understanding of why driving has now changed for me again, because it's only been a few years when driving was something I would actively go and do because it gave me an escape from other things going on, wildly enough. But of course, the driving scene, the driving climate, the driving locations have drastically changed since then, of course. And I don't need the escape. Damn. Like, this is why it's such a dream when I watch anime and just play games and people can freaking teleport anywhere. How minute it would be to just arrive at your location and not have the mental planning, the mental readiness and fortitude to get somewhere. And it would just be great if I could just walk. Technically I could, but there's only so many hours in the day when walking takes a giant amount of time in reality and has a whole lot of risk where I live. So, meh. But yeah, throwing that out there too, because oh, the dream of being able to work from home. Oh, the dream of not having to drive around. That would be great. But, I don't live in a magical world. I live in reality. So, having emotions being challenged and addressed, and having day-to-day activities reconsidered, and what I should be focusing my energy towards in order to have a better quality of a day. Because is it in my locus of control to panic every second I'm on the road? No. There is only so much I myself can do when the rest of it is in every other vehicle out there. I think it's just a matter of I have to build up that habit, tell myself over and over and over and over for it to actually stick. And I might have to revisit this conversation again for that to be understood fundamentally, foundationally, to my core, to chill the F out when I'm out there. I'm stirring back to the not so positive feelings that came up, because it brought up dating, it brought up loneliness, it brought up so many things I have wanted to do and try and kept putting on the back burner. I mean, even my podcast, I've kept putting it off to the side instead of jumping in, being a little awkward and not so good at it. The whole setting aside comfortable time to do this instead of just putting on my schedule, just typing in a time and saying, okay, this is when we have to do it. I mean, for the kind of person I am, that may be the only way for me to challenge this perfection and this back burner and probably doubt. It has to be doubt as well, that I feel like I won't succeed, so I won't try. Of course, I know we talked about last time with perfection, and gotta let that go, because I mean, the literal career path I'm going into, you can't be a perfectionist, because that will make your brain fry. You can hone your craft, sure, you can excel and test new strategies and skills, but I'm not a mind reader. Great. Well, I mean, do I actually feel better? Yes, I do. The whole thing of if you speak it out loud, things are now spoken into reality. You hear it, I hear it back. It's no longer an inside thought. Damn, what a wonder that can actually do. And besides, of course, just at the top of the list, being sick. Yeah, having those experiences that do have positive outcomes, even though they require me to go under very uncomfortable changes and addressing my own flaws, my own insecurities, my miasma of my being. But just being sick, understanding I lucked out. I had the privilege to get better soon, quickly, and effectively. Even if it took more than a few days, I still was able to use resources and be able to take off work and be comfortable. It's just thinking on that, realizing how many people don't get that. And I'm just wondering what I can do in my own profession going into for that, like advocacy or changes that need to be addressed, or even how healing and resting should really just be put into therapy itself. And of course it sounds simple, but the fact of how do you get someone to actually apply it to their life? How do you get someone to really see their way of healing as a good thing and not what society claims as lazy or not productive? It's years and years of a mindset you're having to try and chip away rather quickly in order for someone to just sit down and let their brain sit in the mush. Of course, I haven't spoken everything out loud, but I'm realizing language, maybe even how I pace the conversation, will be able to let someone invited into that relax, to let go and trust that that's a good decision to do for themselves. Possible. Yeah. I feel like I'm on the right track with what I'm saying, but I still need to form it out. It's a bit of a lumpy clay, but we're working on it, polishing it up. It's like an ambiguous painting. That would be kind of fun. Go paint some clay art. And that's entirely off topic, but that just sounds like a really fun activity. Because of course, with resting and whatnot, what did I do? I actually started doodling again. And I actually made a decent face. Not so much the body, but you know what? The face is symmetrical. It has a nose, it has hair, eyebrows, little details. Not bad. And it was just one of those quick sit down and try it out and kind of let my brain figure out something. It's a puzzle in a way. It's a puzzle that you're creating as you doodle it. There's no roadmap besides what's in your head and how you're trying to swish the marker across the paper. Jeez, it's just weird because I haven't been sick in such a long time that has knocked me down and kept me from moving and doing things as expected, that I truly had to take a break if I was going to get better sooner. And you know, the whole worry part of, oh, I need to do this and that, it left. And self-pace and choosing to take a nap came more to the forefront of my mind. Like almost the gate was open. I didn't close it back after I recovered. My peace is roaming rather than limited for a certain range. I guess, well, would it be better just to say I'm letting my peace be wild? Just free range? Free range chicken of peace? I mean, that's another way to look at it. Just expectation on what has been propelling me forward. What has been pushed aside, what has been suppressed while I try to do what I need to do. Because the other reality is, this is a very high-paced time for a lot of deadlines and a lot of things that need to be completed in a timely fashion that can't be self-paced. But I need peace to be wild in order to keep my peace. I do wonder if this is the best way to describe it, but it sounds right to me. Where else can we go with this? Because, I mean, I couldn't even play my games. That's the biggest thing, because I just was so tired. And I didn't want to mess up my game files by trying to play half sleepy and then mess something up and miss something or lose out an opportunity because I started to charge ahead without a plan. But I keep coming back to the computer, I keep coming back to the console, wanting to pick it up and playing for a long time. But I mean, if I'm back to podcasting, doodling, and drawing and whatnot, it's probably just my brain saying I need to exert my energy elsewhere. And what I thought was giving me entertainment maybe is just giving me a distraction rather than the right feeling. I mean, I had to even put down exercise for this entire week. And that was the main plan. What do? Exert myself, push myself, challenge myself. And that was a physical feeling I could get feedback on instantaneously. While in a game, it just depends on if I would hear the right noise or see the level change. And that could me sit there for hours and hours grinding it. And the only thing I would feel is maybe hungry and sleepy. But rather than that euphoric feeling you would get after a run or lifting weights or something. Again, the whole thing of the body. Feelings that are sitting right at the top of the surface, waiting to be seen, maybe rippled. Damn, there's a lot of things I want to contemplate about. I need to write down and think about more. Because with talking about it, it's almost forming just a whole Word document in my head that I need to physically jot down as well, because trying to say it out loud, it's not fully formed in my head. It's trying to run, but it's still a little tangled with the shoelaces in a way. But hey, we're off to a good start. So yes, writing that down does actually help the process a bit. Even though I have the facts and the science behind saying it out loud and forming the logical processes or even just the rambling from my voice, writing it does take another part of your brain to figure it out. Okay, because you have to spell it, you gotta write it, you gotta make some good writing. Speaking it out loud is different. It's just like with you learn a language, writing it compared to speaking it is gonna feel very wonky from each other. But hey, processes are in the flow now. And of course, the good beginning track of this podcast being the second episode of season 2. And of course, because a lot of things have happened. I mean, we've had an election, we've had a new year, we've had romance holidays come up, we've had some critical and out-of-pocket rulings and judgment calls being made. I mean, I'd rather not sit here and just do a political commentary, but of course it's going to come in there. Just we're not going to bog it entirely down in that. The overall feeling will be discussed, of course. But yak, we skip ahead. We've been dealing, we've been feeling, we've been having a body that exists in the human realm. Now that actually sounds like a fun slogan to put on our shirt. We've been living in a body in the human world. Have to make it wiggly. Ooh, because I was doing earlier jiggly arms, just like Jello. It's kind of fun. But hey, another way to experience anxious energy and how to disperse it from your body. Okay, so I'm back on track on health. I'm back on track on my education, my work, my studies, my sleep schedule. Cool. And of course, the objectives of what do I want to keep doing this podcast? Why do I want to keep making videos, making content creation when I'm pursuing higher education that is 10,000% on advocacy work, which is going to take up 10,000% of my time. And it's that. Figuring out when I need to rest, when I need to take me time, justice time, sleep time, work time, gym time. Hey, because yes, in a way, time is a concept, but it's reality of what is expected and what is going to be conformed to my expectations of where I choose to pursue my work at. So that's pretty much how we're going to just start this off. And from there, let's go into the game plan now. I've had my time to ramble. I've had my time to just say what's going on in a very quick, less than 30-minute spouting of words. Because podcast number 1, season 1, was really me figuring out how to incorporate gaming and healing at the same time, or even what I wanted to talk that could overlap with each other. Now with season 2, it's like 2.0. Technically it's, in a way, another season. It's another season 1. Just go with me for a moment, because it's a fresh start. It's another time someone could enter in and start listening from season 2 rather than season 1. Where I am presently in my life is different than when I started this. A lot has already changed. I mean, for the very fact I'm in school. I started the podcast before I started at higher education. I keep calling grad school higher education because grad school is confusing, because there's doctorate programs and there's just master's programs. I'm just gonna say higher education just to keep it simple without all the extra words. But yeah, I started this when I wasn't in classes. I started this when my 9 to 5 was a free-for-all schedule. I started this when I had an entirely different setup, a different computer, a different romance life, different family situation. And it's a very far away distant memory now of how life was then. And that was only a year ago. Well, a year and a half ago, because we're in 2025. And that was in 2023. Jeez, so much time has passed. And another part of it, as I've talked through other podcasts about stop being so mysterious, make friends, socialize with people, speak up in class, challenge myself and do the task that I said I was going to go out and do, like continue Twitch, even though I am in a point where I am both so uncomfortable with myself because of the career path I'm going into, where your face and your reputation can change at the drop of a hat if you're being goofy in your private time, and then people can hurt you if they find out your location, and that just adds to my overall anxiety and anxiousness of just crossing paths with something that I can entirely avoid. And then the other half is I miss it. I do really remember having so much fun and enjoying it, and it's a pastime and hobby that I get to cross-section with my games, and maybe someone gets to see a cool game that they never got to play, or see different reactions, and it's not always just gonna be just me playing games. It'll be me talking or theorizing or conspiracy theory about how the things will end, or talking about the music or the gameplay, and it'll go into us painting or me doodling, because I did that before and then I dropped it. I know physically I dropped it because of moving. I know I physically dropped it because there was potential safety issues. I know I dropped all of my fun activities because fight or flight, survival mode. You don't indulge in activities when you have to make sure you have a roof over your head. And now I'm back in a place that I believe I should truly believe that I'm okay to do this. And yet there's just moments where that instability creeps up again, and I have to work on that because of how long instability has lived in my adult life. It has become that expected pattern, but it doesn't have to be my continued future. I have support, I have the means to take care of myself, and I have people around me who do care, and I have dreams and ambitions and actual real world application that is happening right now that is getting me in the door of advocacy work, of mental health, of being a counselor, being a person that can provide resources or guidance, or even just be part of the community, serving rather than taking, rather than just earning a profit. It's that I want to look back on my life with meaning and hope. And sure, how I looked at this career path when I was younger was more so clinical and analytical of how to study the human mind and what goes on in it. I was coming from, I used to have a career path of autopsy technician that I wanted to do, so I was looking at it as a corpse, a non-speaking person that I would be looking at the brain. And now I've turned back into a more humanity, holistic, warm connection with someone. I do know how to do that, and the freaking imposter phenomenon is a part of it, and real world crisis happening at the same time, and what I can objectively do and what my brain is just trying to compensate for. And I am doing things. I'm giving my donations. I'm trying to actively spread awareness. I am doing the things that need to be done in order for me to understand that I am on the right track that feels right for me, rather than the right path that is objectively good. I feel safe, I feel comfortable, I like my classes. I am excited to do this. It's just a matter of I don't want to lose all of these other parts that make up me outside of my career that I've chosen now to actively pursue. Because I could have pursued this a lot earlier and could have been a little bit more difficult financially to do that, but I could have started a lot sooner. But I could say it's coincidence, I could say it's fate, I could just simply say it is my time now to do this. And it's just a habit. Starting it and taking on the challenge that is confusing. I mean, like a fucking puzzle game. You might not quite understand the objective or how to complete the mission or what it's intending for a scene to play out for, why something must be done in this fashion. I have to put my hands on it and look at it, move around, adjust the angle, zoom in, or even just smack the screen, see what happens. But I'm going to get some kind of input. If it's forward input, backward input, or no input. Something is going to be visually, auditorily, something is going to show any of those pools. And I actually kind of feel a little bit lighter getting that off my chest now. Wow. I guess maybe it's because since I use different inflections and tones as I talk, it feels better in that way. And of course there's going to be a lot of other stuff that's coming up because life is busy right now and I have a lot of things I want to put on my plate, but I have to understand the portions and even the slack off as well, because we have to realize when we rest, that means something else is going to be put aside. I've got to understand to not bite off more than I can, or even communicate with others so I have community support, because guess what? I can't put it all on my shoulders if I'm expecting to take a fucking nap. Good gosh. But hey, I did actually do a bit of that this week. Made some game plans, figured out how to give myself some space, and I even got to make some kind of cool kind of art installation for a birthday card, which I don't know whose birthday card it's gonna be for. And this is entirely off topic. I did not even explain what I was talking about. But yeah, in the point of taking a break at work, at the end of my day, I just do some crafts. Maybe it's just work with some felt, glue it onto a piece of paper, find some cool markers, and try some calligraphy. And those last 30 minutes before I leave for the day, because traffic sucks before that, I'll make something either for people's upcoming birthdays or a craft that I want to try for a make and take project, or if something was going to get discarded, I'll kind of pick up those pieces and see what magic I can make of it. And this last time I had some felt. I made this triangle and I used some black folder paper, took some white paint, and kind of made the night sky within this triangle so it looks like the opening of a cave in a way. And I used some glow paint on it, and now I have this kind of cool pop out card that's gonna glow in the dark and say happy birthday on it. And now I'm realizing, because since I used the green felt on that, it would be fun if I made little pipe cleaner mushrooms on top of it to make it look like a log. Dang, that would be kind of cool. Because, the website, not the website, the app, Xiaohongshu, the little red book, if I said that right, because I am very basic on my Chinese understanding in Mandarin. But you know what? That is something I'm gonna start pursuing a little bit more, because learning tones, understanding different pitches and different inflections to word would be a great skill for me to learn just in daily life, and the amount of different things that are conducted in Mandarin would just enhance my life, if anything. But back on task, because the app Xiaohongshu, there is crafty people on there who make amazing figures and headbands and people out of pipe cleaners. And it's just absolutely bonkers to my brain how they're able to create that. And it's not out of yarn or crochet, it's just the metal fuzzy little stringy bits, and you tie it together and twist it the right way. It makes art. And I'm realizing I should try to do that too, because we get a lot of pipe cleaners, and that would be kind of cool on my little pop-out card. That way it doesn't go to waste, and it's a little craft project that's entirely my choice to do and not part of my work, and it's a cool way I can unwind for the day, because I can't really take watercolors or drawing or writing to work, because that takes me out of focus too much, that someone would not be able to get my attention directly, like I would not be listening properly. So that's something I've done in that aspect of my life that now gives me a little bit of peace and time to unwind, in case maybe if I've forgot to send an email or need a check with another employee about something, those thoughts can slowly come back to the surface without me rushing around, and it will just bubble up to the surface, and then I can get that last minute thing done for the day. And that has made my week a lot smoother, if anything. And now I want to kind of do that every day, even if it's just to try to doodle a nice pair of hands or a good portion of a body for sketching. Little by little, my art has become pretty good. For as much as I've drawn goofy stick figures and whatnot, I actually can draw some faces and hair and shoulders, but distance between each part of the torso, to the knees, to the legs, to the neck, I'm seeing I really don't have an understanding of tall bodies or average size bodies. I have short, dwarf, miniaturized figures pretty down pat, but everything else gets a little confusing, a little Slender Man looking or football linebacker stance. And it's not gonna happen overnight, but I'm practicing. So those other experiences that will challenge me for just shits and giggles, for something fun to do on the side. So there is progress, there's little stresses and concerns, but I'm finding ways to keep creative energy in it, play in my life, so I'm not losing those parts of myself, even if I have this conflict to go back into my bigger projects, talking with the radio, pursuing reading and speaking for audiobooks, putting my face back on Twitch and having live streams, because I like that content, that real-time interaction. Even though I could do that through like Discord with friends on, what is it, Final Fantasy or any of the other little multiplayer Among Us games. That's just not my main shtick to play. I play games for my own enjoyment rather than for a group goal. I guess I'm not a multiplayer person, really. And it could be it's just I didn't really grow up with the opportunity to play it in the same fashion, because how many times was I told not to play Call of Duty or any active shooting first-person type game because of me just being not a guy. A lot of stereotypes and telling me, oh, you won't be safe in there, oh, that won't be good, and I could have just tried. I tried Overwatch for a little bit, and, you know, I actually got kind of good when I played it for a bit, and then I just stopped playing because Overwatch 2 made it weirdly complicated to log into your PlayStation account, so never got that figured out. Still don't know how I was able to log in with my PS3 login and not my PS4 login. I should have watched a video or something to get that understood. But you know what? Those are past regrets that are just bubbling up. Again, things that you think about late at night and you realize, shoulda, woulda, coulda. And I don't want my entire life to have that kind of I told you so, or oh, if you only did that. It winds down to that. Damn, I'm having a serious discussion with myself as I'm realizing when I'm saying these words, and they are pointing some fingers back at myself and even opening my eyes to what's been lurking inside of me and what took years to realize yet again, and just how doubt and anxiety will kind of coax me under the sheets, will tell me one thing to protect me, but really it's suffocating me and limiting me from the actual exciting world that's out there. I have opportunities and potential to do, and then I let familiarity and comfort be the first priority rather than pushing myself and seeing that change occur over time. Seeing a flower bud in the morning if you sit there long enough and wait patiently for that moment to happen. That seems to resonate with me because I kind of felt him in my heart a little bit. Yeah. And of course, in my mind, I think of the corpse flower because I want to see that flower bloom. I want to go to DC or Seattle or wherever else it is nationally protected, where I can see this strange endangered plant bloom, even with its strange, bizarre smell and design of a plant. It is existing in this world. It is here, and it's alive. just as I am here too. I don't know what kind of word I was trying to say before that. I think I was going to go, just as all. I keep having these wonderful opinions and realizations late at night, which goes against the fact of a Western capitalistic idea of waking up early and being ready for the day, when my most productive work is done when it's nighty night, when it's dark out. I mean, it's just more quiet. There's less stuff going on. It's more mood lighting you can set. And if I'm out and about and it's sunny out, I'm not sitting there talking to a mic. I'm just observing the world around me. And let's face it, it could just simply be because I've built up this habit. I have to realize things can change if I do, as I just said, grow and go under uncomfortable change. I can't be a hypocrite. I mean, step 1, make yourself aware. But yeah, huge topic of what the body feels, how the body is adjusting after major sickness, and how, in general, adjusting and figuring out how to work within, around, and out of 2025. Because, let's face it, as I dabbled earlier, politics are always going to come in, because where I live, within the United States of America. And I mean, in that, understanding what I myself want to do, willing to do, can operate from, use my privileges, and even challenge and address circumstances, decision-making skills, people, policies, and what misinformation's being spread. Because at the end of the day, this is an opinion podcast where I do talk about expanded ideas, limited things in my own universe and what's in my view, and I don't have everything fact-checked and everything, so I have to address that time and again. And of course, in the field that I keep talking about, going into counseling and therapy, it involves it. And if you're not talking about the environmental, social, cultural trauma and obstacles and blockades that are happening for people, you're not really going to do excellent counseling skills if you're going to ignore major parts of someone's life and how it trickles down. Because, I mean, from taxes to registration to even voting to even speaking your piece, having your peace of mind. But yeah, just to put that in there, because since I've just been yakking away at my own little small circle of this universe. And of course, it does tie into more literature I'm reading and realizing how the body, like the memory foam thing, the body keeps score because of the fact of the book itself. When you read into it, the body keeps score. Just that sentence, great. You can expand upon it and detail some ideas and opinions of what happens. But the author, their view of things, especially everyone who is not their main character when they're describing events, is pretty, well, it's not pretty, it's gruesome, if anything. So I just want to make sure to bring that up again, because I'm really just using the sentence, the body keeps score, but not the entire book's ideology and what happens, because it doesn't align with what I want to do. Yes, to recognize that your body can hold on to things, your body can remember and not process trauma. So let's just put that out there, of course. I mean, we could always expand upon that another episode, because this is not quite the setting I want to do it in. I would like to make it a bit longer session to have those mental health discussions than just this reintroduction to XP for Heal, the 2.0, and even how we're looking at the year. What are we going to be talking about? And of course, how do we heal? How do we gain the experience while we're trying to heal? Because at times I've heard people talk about trying to heal, but they're quote unquote actively bleeding. They're actively suffocating. They're actively in pain. And that part of how do you continue to grow and work under uncomfortable pressure and change while the world itself is putting you under uncomfortable change and frightful scenes and ideas and secret too, because that's the other thing. People out there who have been secretive about their opinions now coming out about it, or continuing to be two-sided, or what was it? Oh, damn, I forgot. There was a Chinese Mandarin phrase of like calling someone a green tea. If I could remember. See, that's the other part. Trying to learn language and then you start missing phrases and they're just lost inside the goopiness of your brain juices. But yeah, this is something that we'll keep popping in and out of, because is this podcast very professionally straightforward? No, it is me popping in and out, figuring out where do we go in real time. I could make a script, I could formulate, but that's a lot of time that then is sitting there perfecting something instead of just having a conversation that is occurring. I can't plan how to have a lighthearted conversation or a deep one if I don't just simply dive in. I can't sit there and write an essay before I begin. I can try and educate myself and get some facts, but that's just not how I roll. And here we are, running up on the hour. Surprise, but we can keep going. I definitely do feel more accomplished. I feel more energized to do this. And even there's more to be said than cropping it into an hour long time. How am I going to continue to heal? Because I've talked about all these different changes and attitudes, and I've written it down, and I've expressed myself. But it's a new month, because now it's March. We're getting close to the midpoint of a year. We're getting to actually the closing point of a school year, which is going to lead into the closing of another event and the opening of another event. Like, a lot of open and closed doors are happening all within weeks of each other. Like, that's other reality. Rather than saying months, these are weeks, which in turn are not very many days that these are happening from. And as I put earlier about where I am now in this year and 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, 5 years ago, what my feelings were, what were my motivations and my guidance. I have a path that I am seeking, a path that I am physically walking and taking the time and energy to put into. But I see a lot of different concrete paths in front of me and not ideas. That's where more of this anxiousness, because now, rather than just the straightforward action RPG life that I can make decisions and go about my day and realize limited amount of actions I can choose from, there is choices in those. The branching of making a decision here or saying this comment or putting action to words are going to open different paths or evolve the narrative into something bigger than what I expected it. Such as the conversation of having a business, owning a business, procuring a business, starting a business. And I keep telling people I don't want to go down that route. It's frustrating because that's a lot of things that I don't see objectively enhancing my life besides incurring another form of income that I don't have to be there in the building for. And that, it doesn't sit well with me. I see aspects of it that are great, but the fact of the matter is, I'd rather let someone else take that so I can do other things. But what if it is that little question of what if it is the better choice for me that gives me quality? Because I could gruel away, I could continue this path that I think I'm going on, and it suddenly flips on me. I talked about feeling stability and consistency in this odd place that I'm in where the floor has a slight sink or jelliness to it, that it's not fully intact. And it's a rumination that trickles in at night, that isn't there during the day. And here's why having these conversations are a way for me to be able to go to sleep. Because then I can speak to something and not have it live inside my nightmares. I mean, I don't even know if I'm having nightmares. I mean, I am sleeping. Clearly, I am getting sleep. It's just been, well, I had one night with a weird nightmare. It was like somehow someone who was wheelchair bound was dragging me on the floor as they were wheeling away in their wheelchair. And they were taking me somewhere not good because it was shadowy, it was dark, I was incapacitated, and I just kind of sprung from my bed in a way. And it was quiet, it was still dark out, and I have no idea why my body needed me to wake up then. I wasn't sweaty, I wasn't hungry, I didn't need to use the restroom. None of the simple facts of biology. And yet my body created that very strange dream to terrify me for something that I shouldn't have terror for. And I mean, I'd be curious to play a game where it's a bit more of a night-day cycle where you're trying to understand why your nightmares are happening. I've seen a couple of good indie games about that, but it was more so of a game that has you do Five Nights at Freddy's style. You're investigating something, trying to get sleep, but you're recovering after a major injury, so your body is trying to make you remember as you're having these creepy dreams as well. That's one of those. And of course there's, there was a really good one a few years ago, and you had a game, it was almost an investigative little Japanese style game, and you were bound to your room and you were trying to figure out what was happening, so you had the assumption that your brother had hurt someone and now you're trying to escape. Damn, what was that? That was a good premise. Because it had some creepy nightmares in that as well. And of course, Yumi Nikki, that one definitely makes you think about the existence of reality and where you actually stand in it all. And of course, earlier I was just reminiscing on why I have like this drive and this happiness in me, because alongside darker times, having Trail of Cold Steel, Ease, Lacrimosa Dana, Tokameki Memorial, these games that had some wholesome factors to it, some achievements, some plot building, characters to really get to know. It was comforting, because the whole thing of it gave me a sense of community without having to really leave my room. Even though I do like to hang out with people, it's just particular factors I want to happen in order for me to be comfortable in real life settings. Good gosh, I got some things to work on. Need to do some exposure, because then I'll be more comfortable. It's like I'm midlife. I need to razzle my dazzle and go out. Even if it's just to go to a freaking picnic or something. Shit. It sounds easy, but that itself sounds complicated, because where do you go? Where do you pack? To circle back to those late night thoughts. And of course, the little things of games that have made me happy, inspired me. And they do have messages in them that allow me to feel that I can actively heal as the world is actively trying to cave me in a way. Because as I said with the corpse flower, I'm here and I'm going to battle, both in the physical realm, the mental realm, the the spiritual realm. Yeah, let's put it that way, because depending if realities are divided or whatnot, it would be very interesting to see how battling would go that way. But yeah, I think that's a good way to end this portion, and we'll see what we come up with tomorrow. I'm pretty sure with wrapping up this little episode, the conversation again about politics, about how do you stand against fascism, the word, fascism. Lovely I can say it when I hiss. But anyways, yes. Because we got to have our little conversations, our little dibble dabbles, but of course we have to talk about the serious part where if we're going to heal, gotta make some actual resistance occur in order for pushback to happen. Bills not to get signed, or even tampering, dismantling, changing and going under that growth yet again, the uncomfortability. It just needs to be consistently said, just to make sure you hear it and that you know other people are within the same mindset or in the same realm. They don't want to be complacent. It's just, it's the biggest part of being in this counseling, therapy, mental health field where every day is trying to fact check myself, trying to keep up with the news, making sure I'm proceeding with information and tactics and strategies and mindset that build a better life for this world rather than coping with here and now when I can be a hand, an open arm, a vulnerable space, something that can be authentic and true to a good world. There's a lot of ways I can keep going on this, but for the very fact of the matter, I can talk about XP for heal in games and adventures and stories and plots, but even in real world application, it means actually pushing back against politics, leaders, governments, rules, authority, policies, mindsets that question my existence, question my friend, question the person across the street from me, question, deny, block, steal, lie, cheat, continue the list till death itself and horrible torture. But having the gall, the bravery, the courage, the strength, the will, the conviction, the determination, the heart to go beyond, to see the dream and to see the real world as it is and know there's performance and there's resistance, there is true activism and there's the learning stages, the appealing and fawning. I just want a lot of things to happen. Of course, the other reality is not thinking this is a sprint, because a sprint would have been before anyone got into the political houses. Now it is the marathon to chisel down what has been taken away, changed, updated, corrupted, and even what happens afterwards, the aftermath, the post-care. And of course, have to think in me, myself, and I as a person in this world, on this planet, where I can donate my time, my effort, where I can project my voice to tell about things that are happening in the world if someone's not being heard, not being seen, or being blocked or shadow banned and all that. And I have to figure out a more concise way to be able to talk about this portion, because this, I feel I need them to put a script, because there's a lot of details that come in almost minute to minute, how to tie in all the pieces together without missing out a view or perspective that I do want to acknowledge or even learn from. It's a big challenge in that part. And of course, I will bring it up more as I figure out how to go from A to B to C to D way of conversating, because I don't enjoy this rambling that I'm trying to put together just so I can get my foot in the door and begin to chisel at it and incorporate these topics into the podcast more. Because yes, I want there to be that niche, that interest in how we discuss things.
but I feel like I don't want to gamify the politics and whatnot and the real world terror that's happening. I want that to be as raw as possible, because it is details that need to be told, facts, opinions, what is occurring without confusing with metaphors. So just sliding that in there as we kind of move away, because I think the only other part of this second episode is about where do we go from here, because I keep bringing up these ideas and these plans, but none of them have quite stuck out for the time, because setting up a TTRPG game is kind of complicated. Not gonna lie, as much as I've found plenty of tools and solo playing things to work with it, that's gonna require me to be with so many tabs open, and I do not have the brain capacity to do that. As much as I have all my papers and all my stories and all my plot ideas set out, getting the production side of it is what is daunting at the moment. Nah. But you know what? We did it. Finally getting back to this and realizing what is actually a good plan to have in order to establish myself. How do I get my school done? How do I learn from my school? How do I learn things that are not being taught by my school? How do I make friends? How do I entertain myself? How do I find peace in my body and soul? And I'm finally wrapping myself around that, even though it does mean I've thrown the social part of it pretty much out the window. Like, for everything else going on in my realm of life, I don't stick my neck out to indulge friends or interact and be around people, even though it's enjoyable to be around someone. But that's something that's still disconnected. That could be some conversation. Well, especially if we talk about just friendship simulating games, platonic storylines, how loss of friends or gaining new friends or having friendship points and whatnot. That'll be another good episode to create. I think that's a good way to end on this, since we've reached our hour mark and I've said my pieces that I needed to say. So that will wrap up episode 2 of season 2 of XP for Heal, and we will see you another time, because I'm not promising any consistency yet. So, bye!